Hey, peace world. Thanks for pressing play on another another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. Look, I was trying to jump in here really quickly, man. A dope project came out this week. Today, actually, last night at midnight, or this morning at midnight. What is this? June 19th. And the album is called Milestones by Brooklyn MC Skyzoo. You see, I'm sitting here being a stan, repping Skyzoo. He was in the state, the Buckeye State, several months ago. In this year, though, down in Columbus. I've been bugging bruh on Instagram for years about doing a project about doing a show here. And somebody finally put it together and got him here, so I had to go down and check it out, support. And actually, there's a video on the playlist where I did an interview with Skyzoo, so check that out. But definitely, this joint right here, man, I think it's phenomenal. I love the way it sounds. The only knock against it is that it's just 7 tracks, really 6 with rapping. The outro, the final song. Let me pull it up here real quick. The final joint is called Duly Noted, and he said it's a spoken word piece. I checked him out last night on his Instagram live where he was rocking out to the record, curating it basically before it released. He went live at about 11 o'clock, talked through each record, got emotional on it. Cause he's a Capricorn, so he said he didn't drop none, but I think he was enjoying some Henny. Maybe his son Miles crashed the party a couple of times as he was running through the joints, and I just thought it was dope. One thing I'll say, I normally got a minute and a half from people. If I had to give the album, the EP, a score, it would probably be 4.5 out of 5. The only song on here that I really is so is track number 2. At least I got one, but the concept of it is dope. It's from and so before I hit that, I would say like 4.5 easy. It was something else I was gonna say. The producers is a cat named Tuamie, MarcNfinit, and then llmind, who did the lead off single, which was a song for fathers. And that's what the album is about. Milestones. His son is named Miles. He's about to be 3, I think, in December. And from reading Skyzoo's Instagram posts, he just wanted to come out and salute fathers. And I think in doing that, though, he's also saluting black sons and how to be receptive to someone who is trying to keep you on the right track. Because he said in here, it could have went mad sideways or mad left or something on one of these songs, and he had enough discernment to take in what his father was trying to put into him, trying to give him. I got a quick beef real quick with this writer from Hype Beast from actually June 15th, Patrick Johnson. He actually said that throughout the EP, Skyzoo aims to shed light on growing up without a fatherhood, which that doesn't really make sense, and his mission to do better. Skyzoo did not grow up without a fatherhood. The whole project is him being influenced by his father, and then he has a couple of conversations and moments that he raps about with his father. So the hype beast, Mr. Patrick Johnson, could sharpen that up a little bit. But the album, like I said, is about saluting brothers for being good fathers. It's him expressing his what it means, the honor that it is for him to be a father. And if you saw him on the Instagram live last night interacting with his son, it seems authentic to me, which is a good thing. So what I was going to say was, it's kind of, you can contrast this against the Lulu joint a couple of months ago with Conway the Machine and The Alchemist, and they chopped up snippets from Paid in Full, and it was celebrating Lulu putting Ace on in the movie, where Ace went on to be a kingpin or neighborhood kingpin or whatever. And it was a dope project. But I've said it before, like, man, I get so tired of black men only having one voice, and it's the streets, gunplay, drug trafficking, murder, and women, you know, and all the glorifying all of that. And here on the other side of that is Skyzoo, who takes snippets from Boys in the Hood, the relationship between Furious Styles and his son Trey, Lawrence Fishburne, and Cuba Gooding Jr. And he takes snippets from that movie to highlight or underscore fatherhood. And so I'm not trying to diss Conway the Machine as much as I'm just trying to say it's good to see someone providing that balance, man. Just give me some balance. It doesn't have to be all positive and uplifting and square and whatever. Just give me some balance, man. I don't want to sit up and listen to all of the raw and the hard and the white and the bricks and the plugs, and I'm sorry, I don't want to hear that all the time. And that's a testament to how dope Skyzoo is, that he can do this project his way and be responsible in the messaging that he's putting out here, and to just be attuned to the fact that there's this void out there, and he fills it with a dope project. So I really hope that some individuals, some brothers go and check this out, some fathers out there go and check this out. I got a couple guys I'm gonna text the link to, share the album and whatnot. But it's dope, man. Like I said, it's 7 joints. The ending is more of a spoken word piece that it closes out the album nicely. The only record that I'm kind of it's not fast forward material, and I'll get to why it's not. But at least I got one, and the concept behind it. Well, I'll get to that in a second. A producer named MarcNfinit, he produced track 2, at least I got one. Track 3, Turning 10, one of the top 2 songs on here. He did the scratches on track 4, which is Duffle Bag Weekends. I'm very familiar with that, with my parents divorcing at age 11, when I was 11. And then he also produced track 5, which is Eyes Wide Shut, which is top 2. Between Eyes Wide Shut, between Turning 10, Duffle Bag Weekends, Eyes Wide Shut, and A Song for Fathers, those are all vying for the top 2 slots. Whatever you don't put in those in the top 2, the other 2 back that up. And then the opening joint, the first song on here, Memory Serves Me, is nothing to sneeze at. It's not weak either. So let's jump into it real quick. Memory Serves Me, for some reason they don't have who produced this joint, so I apologize. I don't know who did this one. What I like on here is that he's basically talking about so it introduces you to the fact that this album is really inspired by the relationship between Furious Styles and Trey. And what's dope here is it starts off similarly to how Lulu starts off with the introduction between Lulu and S.I. Morales and Wood Harris, or Ace, in Paid in Full. This is early on when Angela Bassett, right, is dropping off Trey to Furious, Lawrence Fishburne. And she says, there goes your son. And Furious is like, why are you trying to make this so easy? And she was like, you know what? It's just like you said, I can't teach him how to be a man. So I'm handing him over to you to get our son together. And that's the theme of this. Well-chosen snippets, well constructed, well conceived album. But getting into some of the words here, the track is dope in itself. I gave the track like 3.5 stars. I like the bass line, and there's also a little change up that's going on when it gets into different parts of the song. This keyboard sound drops out, and it's just the bass line. I like the track, but he gets into something in here. This is him talking about how his father had his thumb on him, and while he wanted to go wild out in the streets and do what his friends were doing, he knew that wasn't going to fly underneath his father. I mentioned this before. I don't know if it was music for my friends or in celebration of us, but Skyzoo talked extensively about his relationship, his upbringing with his parents being split, but how they were still cool, and how his father walked away from the game once Skylar was on the way, and made a lot of sacrifices to make sure that Skyzoo didn't become a statistic, to put it short. But he says here, but knowing there's tag teams when you get to the heart of it, for all of us lucky enough to know where our fathers is. Our father who art in the living room cracking a brew, know where I'm attached even when I'm attached to the stew. Think I'm doing more than I am till you hand me the news, because his dad knows, ain't nothing out here that you doing that I don't know about. I did all of this. But till you hand me the news, like I know everything that you on, I'm actually you. He tells him right here, I'm actually you. This is beautiful writing, by the way. I grew up outside just like the rest of us did, him included. Prayer hands up for all the ways that I've been influenced. Fully loaded, one stick for the crew, stick and moving. 14 in my pop's hands, hoping his grip will loosen. But fuck it if it didn't. He never would, so I was good on a couple of decisions. That's his father in his life, and steering him in the accountability and the responsibility. That's a snippet that's used later from Boys in the Hood in the outro. So yeah, and he says, remember so and so had pulled out a bucket to pitch in. I fell back when I normally would jump in position. Regretted it till they put everyone under the prison. That's like one of 100 times. But feeling obligated to jump up in front the line. Stuck in my between a corner store and a blurry line where the shooting's forever and the lobster is butterflies. Stuck in my down for whatever, nothing rides. But knowing how the end of the movie is underlined, and knowing my pop starred in that movie a couple of times. I already knew the script. What a surprise. Like I said, he's just this is his father influencing him. And then something that's probably gonna catch some people's eyes, and I won't go through the whole verse, but in verse 2 he says, I was born in Kings County. Shooters beside me. My son was born in the same hospital as Blue Ivy, it's Jay-Z's daughter and Beyonce. My father was 20, I was 35. So that's an improvement right there, that his father had a son at 20 and he didn't have his first child until 35. But he says something in here about IVF. I don't know, but that's an improvement right there. Not to get going, not to bring some seeds that you can't water into the world before you're able to water them. Oh, there's another dope line right here. I'm still trying to measure up to the world he designed. This is what his father did for him. I'm in a world of a bind, like how worldly am I to understand the corner store and the world it defines, but comfy in Carnegie Hall like my world wasn't dire. A world of Broadway and a world of suppliers. Nickel bag of funk on this live 96 case. So he's just saying because his father has given him some tools and giving him some things to work with and consider, he can have his foot in a lot of different worlds and still, still be the smartest guy in the room, or one of the smartest guys in the room. So Memory Serves Me is a dope start off to this project. Let's get into track 2. At least I got one. Like I said, not my favorite. The beat is a bit of a weird beat, in my opinion, but it's not horrible. it's just not as strong as everything else on here. One thing that I like about it, so what he's saying is, it's a snippet from Boys in the Hood, where Trey went up in front of the class and told them that everybody was born, when John Singleton told everybody was born and civilization started in Africa. And then the fight breaks out, and he said something. He said something about the other kid. He said, "I'll get my father to do something." Trey did, and then the other little boy said something, "Screw your father" or whatever. And Trey says, "At least I got one, motherfucker," or whatever. If you remember that, and that's what "At least I got one" is about. I was totally wrong on my preview video from last night. Totally different concept, but he said that's what the sample is. At least I got one. He has something in here though that I really liked. He said, "Oh, I told you, man. Skyzoo likes to let you know about his exploits in the classroom." But he says, so being all we saw, paid no attention, seen enough already to get what all was a given. Corner stores and ambience, the world we live in. My hands raised in advanced placement. What a collision! Blowing bud on the roof and aiming the empty clip at a cloud. In all of a 4 pound without a mission. Loving the aura being part of what we envision. So he's telling you, yeah, I do. I'm in my neighborhood and I'm hanging with the fellas and blah blah blah. But I'm also getting it in this classroom because my dad has expectations for me. So that was one takeaway from the second track on there. Turning 10. Really dope track. Keys, piano, and real classic hip hop drum track. You've heard this drum used a couple of times. And in Turning 10 is basically it's also directly from Boys in the Hood. I'd be interested to know right now in this politically correct times, who would disagree with what females or women would disagree with Sky's assertion here that at 10 years old, if the couple is separated, that the father should go get that 10-year-old boy and take it from here. This is kind of a bold statement right now, and all of this, everybody speaking out against patriarchy and men being under fire for so much. But this is a dope song though. I'll get to the chorus in a minute. But he said he's talking to he's reminiscing about his partner, and he says, "My man used to sling to his mother. Took a couple dollars off so she ain't think he don't love her. I said, damn son, your pops don't care." He said, I don't know. My father been in and out of Rikers since I was 9 years old. He passed me the L and then continued to bag snow. I pictured myself in his shoes and took a drag slow. His mother came in the room with 7 singles. He gave her a bag of stones. Her face said, heaven sent you. I was 14, known as a mixture of straight scheming and debate teaming. Again, he doing his thing in school because his dad has invested in him. I mentioned this in the preview video of a song for fathers. His father pulled him out of the knucklehead school and took him to another school that was nearby that he shouldn't have been going to because of his address and whatnot. But he had him over there hitting the books. So he says, yeah, I was 14, known as a mixture of straight scheming and debate teaming. A tug of war to break me even. I was weaving through what was intended and what was a given, where it's easy to jump in the rhythm and fuck with the vision. Been forever since we kicked it. Last thing I heard, he was bidden. This is his dude he was talking about earlier in the verse. He's in prison now. They got him infinity number dripping. The juxtaposition of what the allure be, they placed him with his pops. So now he gets to tell his father the story. That's good. That's good writing, man. That's dope ass writing. If you seen that movie on Netflix right now, with the Ashtin Sanders, I think is his name, All in a Day and a Night or something. That's what same situation that he's detailing here. The hook is fire though. All my friends who got a son with their ex, I tell them right off the deck. Go and get your son when he turns 10. And all the women I know who know what's best and the way that this shit is set, get that boy up when he turns 10. I applaud you for thugging it. Never wavering how you loving him. But now it's daddy's turn to run with him. So if you got a son with your ex, I tell you right off deck, go and get your son when he turns 10. There was something else. I just like the way that he worded this. He said, my mother said, you've hit an age where you're about to feel a change. And as a woman, there's only so much I can demonstrate. At first, I ain't get it. Young and innocent, blindfold the differences. Pinning and dribbling over 10-10 skinnies and bigger reluctance. My father was always around, but at 10, it adjusted. And all the layers that it comes with. Like a man can't teach a girl how to be a woman, and a woman can't teach a boy how to be a man. So like Trey and them, my dad made the call to moms. She said you wanted him, you got him, and my corner evolved. So he changed neighborhoods and all of that. This, like I said, it's just going through the concept of what John Singleton showed us in Boys in the Hood and so brilliantly. He in the third verse there, he talks about a friend of his, a female friend, who the father of the child wasn't around, and she asked him, Sky, what can I do? I don't have that option here. And Sky told her a couple of things that were pretty accurate. He said, I told her what you do is showing what you're down for. Keep wearing the pants and never let him take his crown off. Never let him become the motherfucker he came from. Don't let that define him. There's still time to save, son. So yeah, that's a dope one. It's turning 10. That's a highlight on this project for real. Duffle Bag Weekends, produced by Tuamie, featuring this Ashtin Martin kid out of ATL. This is where this trumpet is coming in. I'm assuming that that's somebody that Skyzoo's done live sets with, and he just has him doing playing trumpet on the next 2 or 3 songs actually. But the track is really smooth. It's a really jazzy project in general. And there's some really bright sounds on this record. One thing that I liked was, so in here, he actually gets into a conversation. He's talking about growing up, being exposed to the streets, but still having expectations from his father and discipline from his father. And so he just can't wild out like his friends. But then he actually has a conversation in here. Like I said, Duffle Bag Weekends. I was there. I used to go spend the weekends with my dad, me and my younger brother. And that's a big transition. To go from being the man of the house, so to speak, during the week. And then you go over here with your father and you back to being little man. I don't think he really hits on that in here. But one thing that he says that I really like is he gets to a point later in the song where he's talking, it's a conversation between him and his father. And he says, all the composure I used to get you off me is from her. But I still got that other side that comes alive. Picture Furious Styles pushing the bubble 5. There it is, raised by it over a shot of Henny. Nowadays, we reflect on it till the bottle's empty. He's talking to his father right now about now that he's a man. Old Nicks and Ralph Lauren and Spike. And all of my catalog and the songs that get him hype. And he laughs like you know how many shootouts I was in for him to be your hero off the movies I didn't live. But still, he understood all the glare in my eyes. You never think that a hero can be where you reside. And I ain't never turned an eye, never took it for granted, but it was every day, so I ain't have to understand it. He said he was joking. I poured him another shot, knowing he wasn't joking about everyone that he popped. Trained me the same way that I truly understood, and I ain't had the same reasons, but I shoot it just as good, right? Me and mine got a story or two, nothing that needs to be spoken up over the loop. I don't need to tell y'all what occurred. I ain't got to go down that road. just know that it all makes sense when it's hindsight. My mother told me be like your father when the time's right. My pop told me your mother's here to give you emotion, and I'm here to give you the aim to blow shit open, fully loaded. So, some good writing right there. And then the Ashtin Martin kid actually comes in and does some singing in the hook. I think it's a nice way to break up the album because Sky's doing a lot of work in the chorus. You know, he's spitting the chorus and the verses. And this Ashtin Martin kid was good to break up. Just give the album something new. I mean, the EP something new at this point. The next joint is Eyes Wide Shut, track 5. Another very smooth track. That trumpet again is dope. Real tight, crisp drum track. One thing that I liked in here was just some of the words. He opens with, yo, the time was wasting, but we saw it as ventilation. Call it what you wanted, but we just called it a day spent. Shit you couldn't learn in the crib, but what always saved with, or saved by, so say bye and hit the pavement. Rules of engagement. Don't ever rule out the amazement of better dreaming from never sleeping due to a grave ship. Boats in abundance, shipments in corner containers, locally funded, literally foreign exchanges. So he's talking about, again, he's running with a partner that's making moves and in the game, and that ain't really his thing. It's one thing that I did like on here. One verse that he really gets, or one part of the verse, damn. Oh, again, this is the influence of his father. He says so. I zip up my Columbia jacket while my man is beeping Colombians. Like, yo, this shit ain't locking at all. Fuck it. I'm done with them. Contracts voided over payphones. So the deal is broken. The deal is off. He says, I'm there for moral support, but need to make my way home. Contracts voided over payphones. I'm there for moral support, but need to make my way home. Like, I ain't involved in all of this. So however it work out, you know, I'll counsel you or something, give you some advice, but I gotta be on my way. And he just says my pops got tickets for bringing the noise, bringing the funk, and BBQs. After that, yo, this shit is a jump. Not really so much in there. One dope thing that he said though is at the end of the joint he says, "But sleep is the cousin of death, so never sleep." Well, and all of I like this little how he closes this out because he says, "And all of that do changes. Could have been a different view. Never know the bags under your view until they stick with you. But sleep is the cousin of death, so never sleep. My pop said I've been up since you was born. Best believe." That's how his pop said. That's how having him affected his life. My pop said I've been up since you was born. Best believe. And then Sky comes back and says, "Best believe you're gonna believe it all when you get to." Well, he says his father says, "Best believe you're gonna believe it all when you get to be." And then Sky says, "And I've been up since December 20th, 2017. Do believe." So when he had his son in 2017, he's saying everything you told me was true, and now I'm watching over my child, my son, just like you told me it was gonna be. So Eyes Wide Shut is a pretty dope record. I'm really not gonna go back through a song for fathers because I already talked about that one on the yesterday. So I'm not really gonna hit much more on that one. It is what it is. The closure though, like I said, it's just spoken word, duly noted. But what I like about it, I think before that one starts, is when it's the snippet from Furious telling Trey, you know, you got to do, you got your chores around here, do this, do that, fold some clothes, sweep, mop, and then Trey is like, "What do you do?" And he tells him, "I don't have to do nothing but pay some bills and go to work and pay some bills. That's all I got to do." And then he says, I know, you remember the movie. He said, I know you think I'm being hard on you right now, but what I'm trying to show you is how to be responsible. He says, look at them boys across the street, Doughboy and Ricky. They don't have that in their life. And you're going to see how things turn out for them. And that's that. It actually is kind of where I am with it. And I've been mentioning before that kind of my whole thoughts on what we're going through right now is if we had stronger family units, I think is a start to this problem and correcting what's going on out in the streets. You know, if more young men, more young brothers were being held responsible, you know, I really think that that's a part of it. It's a component of the bigger picture. I'm pretty confident that I'm right there. Whether or not you want to agree with me or not, or we want to be real with one another, that's a big part of it. So look, check out the record, man. I apologize for going 30 minutes for 7 songs. What if it was 11 or 15? But and I could have live streamed this, but I didn't want to be interrupted with comments and whatnot. So that wasn't really an option. You know, like I said, I dug into some of the verses, some of the highlights, dope lines that I liked and whatnot. So if you made it this far and you want to leave me any comments about aspects of the record that or aspects of the EP that you thought were dope, or you know, your thoughts on this product or project in its entirety, you know, feel free to holler at me. I love. I hope this project gets some spin, and there is some big conversations about it. It was only about 140 people in the live stream last night. Like I said, man, I salute this brother for continuing to fight the good fight and making dope records and having the thoughtful, being thoughtful enough to see to conceive this, to put this out there and say, hey, I'm going through fatherhood. I'm 35. Like I said, I would hate to think that all of us are walking around and the only thoughts that are going through black men's heads and minds is guns, dope, plugs, baby mamas getting some sloppy top. I would hate to think that that's what 97% of us are thinking about 23 hours a day. I mean, really. So anyway, my name is Wood. Thanks for rocking with me. Remember, man, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Be safe. Have a great weekend. Peace.